Who the F is Thomas Higgs? Coach Thomas. The man, the myth, the disappointment. I joke. I hope I don't disappoint. But I thought it would be a good time to give you a little bit of background into me because you've probably seen a lot of me on Instagram. You might have seen some of my YouTube channels, and you're probably thinking like, okay, this guy speaks some sense, but who the F is he? Like, where does he know his shit? And, why is he trying to talk to me? That's how I feel most of the time. I suppose that's how all the girls feel when I go and say hi to them. I can see it on the face. Why does he want to talk to me? Who is this pervert? Who is this skinhead? Who is this baldy? Who's this gym bro? I'm just trying to be nice, man. I'm just trying to be nice. But hopefully you see a nicer side of me today and we can have some personal connection so that you're not just thinking that I am just some gym bro with no hair or a skinhead who thinks he knows everything or copies everything from everyone else. I only copy a little bit. Okay, let's go into it because you're probably sick of staring at me on that bike right now. So let's have a look where we're going to start. And of course, it's the upbringing. Where did Coach Thomas come from? Oh, you can see the tripod behind me in the back. I have been filming some Instagram videos today. Nothing like a porn studio. Although that is my second way of income. I just can't find one of the key roles, and that would be someone to make the porn with. But we will get there. This is not the porn studio. This is the studio of Coach Thomas. And I was born 2 days before Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. I'm a Christmas baby. In 1994, believe it or not. Believe it or not, I'm 30 years old. No, I don't use skincare. No, I don't have plastic surgery. Yes, I eat a fucking good diet. Yes, I train like a maniac. Yes, my parents are both beautiful human beings that look 20 years younger than they actually are. On that note, my parents were separated when I was quite young, 7. And I now have 2 sets of parents, which is great. I've got 2 families and I love it because everyone's happy, everyone gets on. And I've learned a lot from the external people that are in my family. My stepdad, who I pretty much call my second dad, and I have a stepmom who is more so like my big sister because I spend most of my time with my mum and my stepdad. When I was younger, I have one older sister. I have a younger sister who is a few years younger than me from my dad and my stepmom, and then I have a younger brother who again is a few years younger than me from my mum and my stepdad. Okay, so middle class. Yes, we were in that sort of middle bracket where we had a good of money. I'm not going to lie. We lived a privileged youth, especially when my mum and dad were together. We had this huge house, and my God, my sister and I reminisce about that and wish we had that house just for 1 week whilst we were teenagers, because we would have thrown the most epic party you've ever seen. It'd be like something off Project X, fires in the street, the circus coming into town, loud music. It was a mansion. But that's not the be all and end all. Yes, we still lived a good life even when our parents separated, and we're very, very fortunate for that. On a serious note, I know a lot of people, especially nowadays, struggling in the UK, and I don't want anyone to think that I am trying to play victim or claim that I had a hard upbringing whenever I share some of my difficulties through life. We all have our relative challenges, and I was fortunate that money in the family was never one of those challenges, at least what I saw from my perspective, because if there ever was, then all my parents did a fantastic job of hiding that away from us. Christmas is full of gifts, games consoles, trips, clothes, always had brilliant food on the table. We could always go to school trips, play for sports teams. So, yeah, it was great. But we were not spoilt. We were not fed the silver spoon. Whenever me and my sister would, let's say, misbehave, and we had nightmares about this. My mum would grab us both by the heads, bam, headbutt each other. That was our punishment. To get anything of value, we always had to earn it. I remember one time, this is a really good story. One time, my stepdad, we had a indifferent relationship when I was younger, I must say, and probably a lot to me. I've got a lot of respect for the dude because he came into my life 4 years younger than I am now, when I was 7 and 8 years old, and my sister, who's even worse than me, was 12. So fuck knows how you survived, Chris, but much love and peace. Anyway, there was a funny story. I used to love the wrestling games. Didn't really care for wrestling in real life because it was fake. It was just acting, wasn't bothered. But the games caught my attention, and I really wanted this one game. And my task, my challenge to get it set by my stepdad was to do 30 kick-ups. Who knows, don't know what kick-ups is. I used to play a lot of football, or as you guys in America may call it, soccer. But basically, kicking or heading or shouldering, keeping the ball up for 30 touches. And you bet your bottom dollar I worked relentlessly to do this. And, within the week, I think I got 50 when I was up there. So, smart by my stepdad because he knew football was my passion. And at that time, I was, playing for quite high-level teams. Don't think I was quite in the academy yet. But he knew that was going to help with my football as well. Plus, I'm doing something to actually earn that game. And he stuck to his word and got me that game. So, big peace, big love, big respect. But it goes without saying, everything that we wanted or, everything that we did, it wasn't met without, us needing to kind of play our part. Whether it behave at school and get good reports, good results in school, help out around the house. We were there. We did. We were not spoiled kids for the most part. So, my personality, let's start on that because you want to know a little bit more about me and I want to be, completely open and honest. You might see this crude, sort of jokey behaviour and that, that's me. I just love being happy, joking around and playing the clown, I suppose. A little bit too much in school. That was always on my school report. Very smart, very clever, class clown. Boom. Not great. But, in that note, nowadays, now I'm 30 years old, now I've been through, quite a considerable amount of my life. Jeez, it's not nice to think, I'm potentially through nearly half my life. Anyway, I digress. So, as a person, I'm super, super positive. I didn't know this about myself, but it got mentioned to me multiple times whilst I was traveling Asia. Tom, you're always so positive. Tom, you look through life with rose-tinted glasses. Tom, how do you see the good in that? I don't know why, I don't know how I've developed this skill, because I was always the child. I actually got a reward at nursery for saying yes more than I was saying no, because I used to say no to everything. So whatever that nursery teacher did to flip me around to become a more positive person, I don't want to know. Maybe that's why my bum is still sore today. But on that note, I'm a positive person. I'm super, super friendly as well. I don't care who you are, what you've done, what your background is, what race you are. As long as you're a nice person and you're willing to converse with me, we'll get along. Okay, we might not be the best friends in the world. Of course, that comes down to common interests. That comes down to just general vibes of each other. But I don't care if you at least make the effort to make an effort with me. I'll give you the time of day. And, that's why I kind of have a lot of people that feel warm around me, let's say. Introverted, extrovert. I wonder, what the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? It's just one of these fancy phrases. No, actually, it got taught to me by a psychologist that I was talking to through my old place of work. I didn't know how to categorize myself because I always thought I am very shy. I'm not a very outgoing person with new environments and new people. But when I'm there, I'm such a social person, especially in a comfortable setting, that you can't shut me up. I'm always the sort of ringleader in gathering the troops, let's say, and bringing the energy. But I'm also very, very shy and closed off. So, yes, I'm an introverted extrovert. So I feel like naturally I'm an introvert. And through nurture, through confidence, through building connections with people, I become that extroverted person. So I can relate to a lot of you who may struggle with, social situations. Things like going to the gym, especially like starting out and going on your own, can be daunting. Like even I get that, and I've been gymming for 14 years. And when I join a new gym or find a new one on holiday that I've got to go to, that first half an hour is a little bit like, hopefully don't throw me out of this one. Calming presence, as I said, I'm always encouraging. That's not just as a coach, as a person. I always want to see people do the best that they can in whatever they want to do, whether that's potato growing, whether that's sewing, whether that's being a fucking acrobat. I don't care. Like, if you're passionate about something and I can see that you are working hard towards it, then go hell for leather, man. I'm in your corner every single day. Unless you're in my sport, then I want you to fail and I want to be the best. I joke. I can praise those around me, but I am very competitive as well. So if you are in my sport, which now is CrossFit mainly, and soon to be bodybuilding, soon to be a little bit of high rocks, then yeah, you're gonna get encouragement off me, but there's also gonna be some fighting talk, so you better be fucking aware. And of course, I'm an authoritative figure. I'm not afraid to tell you how it is when I need to. I'm not someone who tries to assert my dominance. I'm not that type of person, but I will show my dominance when it's needed. I will be the person to put you in your place or put others in the place when it's needed. I'm quite emotionally intelligent, and I'm quite intelligent of my awareness of my surroundings, of when to kind of bring these characteristics to play. Anyway, enough about me in the sense of who I am. What about my sporting history? Because this is where you really care about as a coach. You want to know what's my portfolio? Where do I get my knowledge? What makes me a person that can coach you? How did I get in the shape that I got in? Okay, so starting with young, I was very, very good at football when I was younger. It was my passion. I loved it. Played it every single day. You'd always find me in the street kicking a ball against the wall. If I wasn't in the street, I'd be on the landing kicking a foam ball around. If I wasn't kicking a foam ball around, I'd be taking melons out of the fruit bowl and kicking them at my mum when she pissed me off. But, we still get on, and it's fair to say we don't keep melons in the house anymore. But I was always into football, and I made it to academy level. So I always feel that I definitely didn't do the best I should have done in football. I feel I could definitely been on the cusp of making it professional at one point. If I maybe had the right guidance, if I maybe put the effort in at the time it was needed, if I maybe made the right decisions in where to take my very, very infant career at that point. And I suppose that's always been a driver for me, the fact that I did underachieve in something I was so passionate about. And ever since then, it's given me that drive to really find something I can have the same passion for and double down on it. And today, that is in sport, CrossFit, and in life, it's coaching. So you better believe that I'm coming for every single motherfucking coach that is out there, and I'm going to be better than you. I am going to compete with you. I am going to be number one. In the sense that I'm using that as my drive, my motivation, not to dominate, not to put any other coaches down, because the world needs more than me. The world needs multiple coaches, but I'm coming for that number one spot. But I also played loads of sports in school. I was very good at rugby. I had to choose between football and rugby. And I played a bit of basketball, a bit of cricket. I was in the athletics team. I was one of those. I was the sporty kid. Okay. Then after school, and at the end of school, really, I got into my bodybuilding, which is where I built my physique. If you can't see now, then a lot of people kind of think now, because they see me doing CrossFit, this is how I built my physique. No, I built the foundations through traditional weightlifting, going to the gym, wanting to impress the girls, and I'm still trying to impress the girls today, and it's just not happening. So yeah, if you want to go to the gym, don't do it to impress the girls. You're only going to impress the bros. So bodybuilding was, and still is, part of my life, because for those who don't know, I am actually entering a bodybuilding show in September. So we're in the prep for that, and that's going to be fun. And maybe I can put my true potential to the test in that field. Now, this is where my love for fitness, my love for sport really came back. My love for competition, actually, is what was brought back by CrossFit. I went for a long period of training and loving exercise, loving sport, but not competing and losing that fire. I lost a bit of my identity, I won't lie. I was a super, super competitive person, and I noticed it whenever it came to any even friendly competition. I just wasn't bothered, and that was not me. I was the bad loser. I would do anything to win at a game of fucking Monopoly. If you are about to take my place on Monopoly, the place that I want to buy, then I'm going to do all I can to get that back. That's how competitive I am. Now, CrossFit brought that back because it turned something that I love doing into a game. It gamified exercise, it gamified weightlifting, and it also brought a host of new skills to learn along with that as well. And today, I can confidently say, hand on wood, hand on heart, I don't think I'll ever quit CrossFit. And that's a bold statement, seeing as I'm 30 years old, and hopefully I've got another 30 years of training at least in the tank. But the amount there is to learn, the potential there is to get better, the amount of competition to feed my inner need, it's there, man. And, the social aspect is just second to none. There's no other community like it. And I don't care what you say. If you think it's a cult, maybe it is. But it's a damn good cult. And I would do anything for the leader of CrossFit. Finally, future competition goals. So, I've probably discussed these a few times. CrossFit there's no ceiling for me. I want to get as far as I can. Now, you might laugh at this. You might really, really laugh at this. I laugh at myself for even thinking this. But I believe one day I could get to the CrossFit Games. Not the CrossFit Games in terms of the athlete, the top level, the elite level. I would get to the Masters. Now, the Masters is still elite, but there's an age difference. I maybe discovered CrossFit way too late in my career. I'm 30 years old now, and as fit as I am, there's probably at least 5 years solid of training I need to do to be anywhere near the level of CrossFit. It's like jiu-jitsu. You have to put the time in to get to a level of a black belt. The same with CrossFit. You have to put the time in to get to a level of black belt. And unfortunately, even though I look it, time is not on my side. And by the age of 35, 36, my fitness level, strength level is probably not going to be at that of the top athletes. However, there is the Masters category, which would therefore allow me to compete with people my own age. And yes, there may be former CrossFit athletes in there, but why not have a dream? Why not have a dream? Now, more realistic future competition goals, it's to enter and potentially podium at a national competition in CrossFit, and multiple of those. I will be competing in CrossFit for as long as my body will take it. I also want to compete in Hyrox. I feel there's a very good crossover. I feel I've got a good background of running from football, and I would love to see how good I do with Hyrox. I've not done a competition yet. I'm doing my first pro doubles in Poznan. Woo! Let's all do the Poznan. Let's all do the Poznan. You probably don't know what that is. If you don't, type it into YouTube. Let's do the Poznan. It's a football chant/celebration, which is made famous by the Poznan fans at a game against the shitty city of Manchester. I love Manchester United. That's why I call them Shitty City. Anyway, moving on. Future competition goals. So, Hyrox. I want to see, firstly, in that one, see how well I can do. Then I'm going to enter a few solos. And again, it's a competition I believe I can really perform highly in if I put the time and effort into it. And of course, bodybuilding. This is a trial and error one. If I love this bodybuilding show that I do in 6 weeks' time, boom, I'm hooked. I'm in. I'm going to do it. And I will keep, pivoting between the three sports, I think, along with, a sprinkle of powerlifting and Olympic lifting along the way. But they're the three main things that I would like to focus on. And who knows, I might be having this YouTube channel YouTube video next year where I've won a few things and got a bit more of a clear pathway. Let's see. Now, my education, again, the other important thing. What gives me the credibility and the actual written qualifications to guide you and help you achieve your fitness goals? Straight A's GCSEs. Now we know GCSEs nowadays, they mean shit all in school. School is not set up for everyone. It probably wasn't set up for me. My mum has a very high indication that I'm probably somewhere, in her words, quite high on the autism scale. But I'm not going to go into why. There's just a lot of reasons, and it makes me laugh. I don't care. Like, I see it as a superpower, even if it does. I probably should get it checked so I can actually say whether I am or not, and how to kind of deal with myself and my thoughts. I think I'm pretty good with that now anyway. But yeah, I digress. Straight A's as a GCSE student, other than German. Couldn't do German. I got an E in German. I used to run out of class all the time and go and spend it with a girl, actually, that I was quite friendly with in school. And I'll keep it PG, but yeah, we used to go around to hers and have a bit of fun sometimes. Other times I would run around the local reservoir just to get away from German. I fucking hate German. And then, what they did, I mean, this is silly on the school's behalf, they put German followed by religious education. Two subjects I had absolutely no passion for whatsoever. And my mum would head to work early on a Thursday, and I would be like, "Yeah, Mum, I'm setting off to school." Psych! Go back to bed. And I'd miss the lesson, I'd go back to sleep, I'd go to this girl's house, I'd go to the local reservoir, who knows. But, on the flip side, I actually got an A in RE. One time the teacher caught me actually. This is quite a funny memory. And I just kind of said, "Oh, miss, I was, stuck on the toilet with diarrhea." Never asked me again. Easy peasy. That's the way to get out of it. A levels. Now, this was a bit of a smack in the face for me. This was when the naturalistic, effortless learning stopped. I couldn't just wing this one. Somehow, GCSEs, I did a little bit of revision, but naturally I was a bright person. I am a bright person, luckily. But when it comes to A levels, you can't just rely on natural talent. You have to put the work in. You have to revise. You have to go to classes. Damn. And I found out the hard way as my first assessments came back with letters that I'd never seen in my life before on an exam paper. Let's just say that. But quickly turned that around, and through hard work, through perseverance, I managed to get the A levels I needed to move into university. I went to Liverpool John Moores and I studied sports psychology, which is why I have such a interest in the mindset, in how our psychology is basically the pilot, the driver behind everything that we do. And this is where I, as a coach, specialize, because I feel I've got a really, really good understanding of how we can do that. I also am a little bit mental too, so it's always been an interest of me to really understand the mind and how it works, and why we have these really, really intrusive thoughts where, I might be thinking, oh, look at that cute little dog across the road. It would be funny if I just kicked it really, really hard. Ooh, we all have thoughts like that. Of course, I'm never going to carry that out. I'm a dog person, guys. I love it. But if it's a cat, things getting strangled to... I joke. I love cats too. My mum's got two. And then, moving through my sort of professional career, I decided that at one point, there's probably going to come a time I fancy being a PT. And luckily, 5 years later, after I got my qualification, 5 years later? No, it wasn't that long. It's about 3 years after I got my PT level 3 qualifications, I actually took the jump into a PT job. But following on from that, and then, to this day and beyond, I am self-educating all the time. My main way is podcast. I'm not going to lie, I'm not taking formal tests and whatnot. I think, to be honest, nowadays, that shit's a waste of money. That shit is a waste of money when you can learn. If you have the drive, if you have the willingness, if you have the passion, you can learn without being rubber stamped. And I hate that about the world today, because unless you have a blue tick on Instagram, you're not important. Bullshit. You should be able to teach things if you have gone through the education in a way that works for you. And I feel that's me. Put a test in front of me of nutrition, of psychology, of whatever. I'll pass it with flying colours. Just ask my clients. Anyway, enough venting. Moving on to the coaching career. So yes, it started out with just helping people out in my local gyms, friends, family, acquaintances, and that went on for pretty much since the day I started training. I was naturally gifted at training. I was always into sport. I took to training pretty well. The changes in my physique were quite obvious quite quickly. And so much so, there was a myth, let's say, because it was even touted to me in recent times where across all the local schools in Bolton, apparently Higgsy was a steadhead. I never used steroids. I've never seen a steroid in person, and I would not know where or how to actually use a steroid. So yes, I may look like I was on steroids because I gained muscle very, very quickly. But no, I've never used, and probably will never use ever. Anyway, so that started out with helping out people, giving advice, actually, taking training sessions with them, etc., etc. Then we jumped forward to the first professional role I had, and I spent 3 years on the floor of a gym that is quite well known across the country. It's more what we would call a sort of global gym, a commercial gym where you get all sorts of people. You get your single mums, your families, your busy working dads, your teenagers. A wide variety of clientele, which gave me a great exposure to different backgrounds, different people, different challenges, and I really feel like, as much as I maybe shall we say bad talk them in terms of the way they did things from an opportunity point of view and a development point of view for myself, it was the best thing that I could have done essentially in my first 3 years of PTing. Okay, because it was mainly PT. I wouldn't call it coaching at this point. We were focused on exercise, we were focused on movement. There wasn't really much guidance on nutrition or everything else in between that we know affects our fitness journey. Then I went online. 2.5 years, 2.5 years to this day, I've been an online coach. And there is a bit of a transition. You've got to communicate and coach in a different way because obviously you're not face to face. But the beauty is now I don't have to spend an hour with you trolls in a gym and make small talk and pretend I actually like you. I just let you get away and go and do it yourself after I've written the program. Of course. No, that's not how it works. Instead, now I can focus on other things like nutrition, like sleep, like stress. I can actually get to know you as a person, not just count the reps that you're doing, not just tell you what exercise you're going to be doing next. I can spend more time on the things that, okay, you may not have thought mattered a lot, but they matter a shit bunch. They are the things that are going to basically make or break your fitness journey. How to adapt your schedule when you're super busy at work. What you should be doing whilst working around an injury. All these things that, come into normal life are really what are going to help turn the needle, not how you do a squat every single week. Of course that's going to help, but it's a very, very, very small part of the recipe. So at the turn of the 2025, whilst I was in Asia, I went solo, meaning that I left the company I was working with and I set up my own coaching company because my idea, my philosophies, my way of coaching was going off in a different way to where I was working. My beliefs were slightly different. And I felt I'd grown enough, I'd learned enough. I was now ready to challenge myself more to take on this solo role. And I wanted to coach people the way I really, really believe and really passionate about that they should be coached. Of course, the goals are the main priority for every single one of you wanting to work with me. Your goals are there. But very, very close second is the sustainability of those goals, the sustainability of your routine, the understanding of how this fits into your normal life. Not just to get to a goal as quick as possible in the least amount of time as possible, even if it fucking kills you for a few weeks. Unless you're a bodybuilder, unless you're going for a really specific target by a date, there's no need to do that, and that's what I truly believe in. I've achieved multiple body transformations, and this goes way beyond the body. It goes to the mind, it goes to the lifestyle. And even in those where we haven't achieved, eye-catching physical transformations in terms of a lifestyle, in terms of a change in that person, in terms of a change in their overall health, I've achieved 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s of these transformations working with them directly, but also through my messaging, through my content, through my help in and around gyms that I've trained at. You can add another 100 and 200 to those people, and I continue to build that. Yes, I'm still an infant in the coaching world. I'm not trying to say I am the Mr. Miyagi of coaching. By all means, I'm very much younger and better looking and less experienced by these guys. But no, in all seriousness, I still have a lot to learn, and I'm still very open to learning and adapting my ways. But at the same time, I think my foundations of what I do now are super, super solid and built on the right things, which is great. Variety of clientele, as I say, I've worked with women, I've worked with men, I've worked with teens, I've worked with older age groups, I've worked with people with injuries, I've worked with overweight people, I've worked with lean people, I've worked with people wanting to get really, really big. You get the idea. Basically, I've worked with a fuckload of different people, and I've enjoyed working with every single one of those groups of people. I can hand on heart say, I'm thinking back to every client I've worked with, there was not really one that I hated, that I really just wanted to not see anything of. There was maybe a couple where, she's not in a good mood. If he's not in a good mood, then this is going to be like drawing blood out of a stone. But mainly, they're all tip-top people. My mission then, what do you want to know? What are we doing here? So, at the end of the day, this is going to sound cringe, but I want to create a fitter and healthier world. That's it. I want people to really just make changes that work for them, but turn the needle and pass on these changes to their kids, the offspring, because that's where we're going to make an impact. I want to help as many people achieve their health and fitness goals as possible. directly or indirectly. I don't care, just as long as more and more people are doing that. I want to create a hub to nurture the best coaches as well, because as I said, I can't be the only coach. There's other coaches who have way, way stronger, way better strengths or way more strengths than me. There's coaches who have other weaknesses that I could plug. But as a team of reputable, passionate and, integral coaches, we can make the world a healthier place. And that's why I want to create a hub for that to happen. And I want to fight against this influencer bullshit and toxicity in the fitness industry. The 1,000K followers that, think they fucking know everything. Just because they've got loads of followers, just because they're, super good looking, just because they've got a good video editor. But yet the information that they display, that they send out there is just fucking rubbish. And it really grinds my gears. So much so, I get steam coming out my ears. But also the toxicity in the fitness industry. We all, and I've suffered this myself. You may have seen some from one of my vulnerability posts, that we all try to abide to a standard. And if we don't hit that standard, which nowadays is photoshopped, airbrushed, lighting, photo shoot prep, all this, I'm sorry to bust your bubble, but we ain't going to get there. Even if you do, you're only going to be there for a day or two, and then the body's going to go back to homeostasis. It's going to go back to its natural state. So I want to fight against the toxicity and help understand to people what healthy means to them, because health means something different to everyone. I'm not someone who is, that any size health movement, because if you're obese, you're unhealthy, you're fat, you're going to die, or you're going to live a less quality life than, someone who's fit and healthy. But, fit and healthy can still have a spectrum where, okay, you might want to go down a bodybuilding route and, build loads of muscle. You might want to be a competitive marathon runner, but making sure that you're protecting your joints and your knees, etc. You might want to be the next CrossFit star like me. Lol, jokes. But you might want to be in that world. And these all come with different shapes, different sizes, different physiques, different training methods. But at the end of the day, they all lead to the same umbrella goal of being fit, being healthy. So what to do next? Because I have took too much of your time here. I wasn't expecting it to go on for 30 minutes long. My life isn't that interesting, but, let's minimize me so you can see exactly what I'm saying here. Get to know me a little bit more. Follow my socials. I'm not expecting after this 30-minute YouTube video that you know everything about me and all of a sudden now you can trust me to be the coach of your dreams and to help you achieve your fitness goals. So I lay it all out on my Instagram channel. I post multiple YouTube videos a month. One a week is what I'm aiming for, maybe even more as we get into the flow. But you can gather who I am through my posts, and over time you might actually learn to, this guy's actually not a dick. Maybe I might start taking on board some of what he's trying to teach me, and therefore you might start to see results. But if you're not seeing results and you're ready to kind of make a change today, then click on the link in my bio, take the quiz, and see why you're not getting results. Shameless plug, maybe, but in all seriousness, let's fucking work together. Let's be the guys that we want to be, the gals that we want to be. But I don't know what I'm fucking talking about now. I'm gonna close the video here because otherwise, we're just talking nonsense. Anyway, peace out. That's a little bit about me.